Confronting high credit card debt can feel scary, but the good news is, if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, financial relief options are now available. National Debt Relief is currently offering debt relief designed to reduce what you owe and put you on the fast track to becoming debt-free. If you qualify for debt relief, you may be able to pay back less than what you owe and save thousands of dollars. Just visit nationaldebtrelief.com. Imagine only paying one low monthly program payment you can afford and saving money as you become debt-free. National Debt Relief has already helped bring debt relief to over 550,000 U.S. consumers, earning thousands of five-star reviews and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. You're stronger than your credit card debt. Let today be the day you start turning things around. Take the first step and visit nationaldebtrelief.com to see what debt relief you may qualify for. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
Your dreams are valid as anybody else's. And if it wasn't for the people to believe that, like Steve Jobs or anybody else who's done great things, they believed in themselves and their goals.
Welcome back to the Two Promises Podcast. Let's dive right into another exciting adventure with BD and crew as he pursues his new passion of one day finding the most epic bourbon. The Two Promises team send their special thanks to Hobie and the Huckleberries for their masterful theme music. So grab a glass, relax, and enjoy responsibly.
Baby says she's leaving if I don't stop drinking wine. So I switched to whiskey and I'm feeling fine. Drinking that smooth, smooth whiskey. No more wine. I like straight bourbon. Baby, you try the ride.
Who or what would you consider is the supervillain that's currently attacking Joshua Salgado right now, and what are you doing to fight him?
I think the supervillain that's attacking Joshua Salgado is Joshua Salgado. And I say this because
Nice. Right?
I think that's the only person, ourself, we are either the greatest cultivator of growth or we're the most decaying actor towards ourselves, you know? And I think sometimes one of the biggest things is that, and I'm working on it, is I beat myself up for mistakes or things of that nature, and staying grounded when things don't always go as planned or those mistakes happen or life hits you in so many different angles. Like you mess something up or you set a plan and it doesn't always work out. You set a goal and you don't hit it within that timeline. Sometimes it's easy to let yourself kind of roll into that. And so I think that's my personal biggest weakness as a human being. I've done a lot of things to work on it, and it's a lot better than it has been in the past few years, but there's still work to be done. And I think that's a lot of times what keeps me up at night, because then it stems into the idea is like, you can go deep and be like, if I failed at this, am I enough? Am I going to be good enough for it? And you start self-doubting, right? Which is the opposite of, you know, what we were talking about earlier with the reframing and the rebuilding and that self-confidence and that self-affirmation kind of mindset, which is very, 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 it can rip apart those mental systems that you've built for positivity. So that's my biggest, I guess, battle sometimes, I think. And I'm my own supervillain. I try not to let anything else or anybody else kind of affect my mood or my life, because at the end of the day, you are responsible for those things.
That's super powerful. So one of the things that I was grappling with kind of leading up to kind of my breakdown as well was creating that peace, creating that bubble around myself to where the external was not affecting it. The day-to-day events or actions still kept me I could still stay centered, balanced, and things like that. And then I think sometimes whenever we do really get close to like having those big breakthroughs and those big successes, that's really where we're also going to meet some of the most resistance. So for me, a lot of things collided at the same time. It was also kind of like you mentioned, COVID-19. The whole world was kind of getting ripped apart. The very fabrics of what everyone was used to in so many ways was getting called into question, was getting probed, was getting attacked, and was getting restructured. And it was a very complex, very dynamic environment to just navigate as a human, let alone while you're also trying to process, like we said, all of those things that we'd occurred. And then me also trying to drive forward with this vision of improving myself and maximizing and using my energy for like the things that are going to really contribute to my growth and that I can also pass on and help others contribute to their growth. So kind of like you're making a whole army of superheroes in your book. You know what I mean? Like you have this whole thing, and that's a very fascinating concept. And so, yeah, all of those things just collided, and it was really interesting. It's very hard to describe, but trying to draw some of those parallels there. So these were all kind of products of after your darkness, after your deployment, moving into your second deployment. So you had your second deployment. How would you say that your second deployment, because high op tempo, you were busy all the time, did this help you focus and clarify your vision? Or did you find yourself with a whole lot more ideas and kind of in this analysis paralysis type frame?
I think it made me much more focused. I think it made me realize that like, hey, we touched on earlier, need to be the sniper. Now let's pick a goal, which is build out the IP. And we're going to pick small goals or small, in a video game side quests that are going to build out certain skill sets that I know will be valuable for future endeavors within the business. And really, really published this graphic novel, and I sat on it. I got to deployment, we started flying. Like I hadn't really thought about it. And then about like 3/4 of the way through, I was starting to work on the next one. And I was like, wait a minute, Josh, you just made a 256-page graphic novel, a world, like a whole ass world with characters that have deep meanings. Sorry for swearing but a whole world with deep meaning and deep character and just this world. And I was like, wait a minute. You just get one person to read that and like one character or one planet or one alien, species, like you're just building something that people can enjoy and read and hopefully be inspired by, where it will be a telling of the time of how, like I mentioned, this character that feeds into proxy, warfare and stuff like that. So I realized like this is where I need to go with the brand. I was like, I just need to focus on storytelling and building characters. And I realized like, because we started off making t-shirts and designing t-shirts, and I realized like, I have like now an infinite amount of t-shirts that I could make based off my comic book because it's 256 pages. I have a bunch of characters and a bunch of aliens and a bunch of different like scenes I could use to create these characters. And so I was like, well, the t-shirts are done. And I realized the trading cards, same thing. We're flying every other day. And so allocating my time to specific tasks was very important. What I realized is that there was a lot, I'm a very brainstormy, I'm very like high energy, like, I could come up with an idea and make it happen kind of person, do more with less. And so like I realized I needed to take a step back, and I took a step back and redefined the brand. I was like, hey, our mission is to build up an IP and intellectual property, eventually to hopefully one day make it to Netflix and to be able to rival Marvel and DC with the comics. And so I was like, well, we have a very startup, methodology, startup workflow of how we're doing this. It's very economical. And so like, I was like, we just need to dial in the world. We need to dial in the audience, right? Who are we actually, getting this comic in front of? And so that was the biggest thing, was like focusing on getting that comic out there. I think we just hit over 200 downloads for this indie comic. And it's, like,
Yeah.
to me at least, for someone who's like never really has been in this space of like, I'm not in any communities. I collected comics and I read comics all my life, but I've never been in any active like online communities or anything like that where I could just automatically promote it. I would never really have put it out there. I don't have any writing history or author history. So there's no previous audience bringing forward. So to me, 200 downloads was like, wow. The day I got back, so like yesterday, day before, I was like, holy hell, like we've pretty much hit 200 downloads. And so I've realized that is the main focus, is let's get this comic in front of people. Let's see what people think. Let's keep creating stories. Let's keep creating characters. Let's do it so that there's a whole library, an anthology, a world, a cosmic world, a cosmos out there of characters and worlds and events. And we're going to see the Galactic Wanderer. That's our main character. He's going to start exploring. We're going to see him kind of being the leader of like, hey, go to this planet, this kind of thing. There's some rumblings here. Something's happened here. Let's go solve it. Let's go be kind of that hero, that kind of main character. And we're going to see him kind of arc into something and maybe build up a team that will have a large end game type event happen that we have kind of planned out. I've written out some overviews, some ending comics that kind of end the cosmos, timeline. And so that's the main goal.
Awesome. So you put a lot of work into this. You've refined that focus over time, over your deployments. You're pinpointing your metrics, what you need to work on now to keep this on track. And you've already had success. You've already
Yes.
had a large volume of downloads. There's already interest. Obviously, people are interested. They're engaging with it. So let's do that sniper thing. Like you were saying, let's just bring that scope in, bring that reticle in a little bit closer. Who is your comic for? Is it the operator, the kid, the dreamer? And once you kind of define that, speak to them right now. What would you want them to know or hear?
I think it's really two avatars, as I say, two people. The dreamer, the person who's looking to accomplish something, the person that wants to be inspired, and the person that's lost their purpose, whether it be getting out of the military, post-deployment, post-college. I met a few people when I was doing my training. They get out of, D2 collegiate athletes, they stop having regular meets for track, and now they're kind of off their purpose and they feel a little down about life and they feel like they're still in stellar shape, but it's just, and so that's the type of person, is somebody who's outside of that purpose that needs to refine it. I want them to be very connected to the Galactic Wanderer, and I want them to know that whatever struggle that you have now or whatever demons that you're facing now will reshape that new purpose, that new ideology that you're going to build. And it's only going to make you better and stronger once you process it and get through it. And you can't avoid it. And we all know the negative things that we do for ourselves that kind of keep us in that rut. So that's kind of the idea, is let's get inspired and let's make that change to be the Galactic Wanderer after, that story.
I love it. I love it. That's great stuff. So before deployment, you would ask me for some advice.
Yes.
I just kind of, hey, what were some of the things that I had in my brain on my last deployment, last 2 deployments, and what was really, really useful for me at that time. Granted, there's always just different things, and maybe I could have asked a few more clarifying questions to see exactly what some of your pain points were in the moment. But since you've been on that deployment, now I'm asking you, what is one of the things that you learned on this last deployment, my advice aside or whatever? Like, what is one main thing that you learned on this last deployment that you're going to apply to your company now that you're back from that deployment and you're moving forward with your entrepreneur vision?
One thing is definitely having specific tasks and specific goals that are focused on that sniper, like I've mentioned, earlier in this episode, that sniper focus, having goals that really support that. And then 2, as we're looking to slowly build a team, as we build that team, taking into consideration that our members have goals too, and we can help them, define those goals in life, whether it be in the business or as we build this kind of networking team. I'm really focusing and say, hey, like you mentioned to me before I left, like giving people tasks to live up to and giving people little programs and stuff. As a leader, as a younger leader, kind of the same thing. Like, hey, what are your goals? Hey, let's work towards it. Let's make it actionable. And then helping people kind of have a world within the team, having a world of tasks that they're focused on and able to crush and creatively solve the problems and enjoy.
That is so exciting, man. Just that makes me light up right there. Just thinking about how you're scaling all of those things and you're moving them out of what you're using in your air mission unit. And now you're like, okay, I'm building this team. I'm building this culture. This is what we're building, this Galactic Wanderer and all of this cosmos, right? And you're taking those pieces and you're formulating, systematizing, and finding those ways to help each of your team members get those big wins that they're looking for, not just within the product line and within this multiverse, but within their lives as well. That's beautiful. I love seeing it. So if we have this conversation again in a year, what does your absolutely cosmic or cosmic absolute universe, what's it looking like? Paint that picture for us.
So within a year, we're going to have definitely a bunch more comics published on the website. Hopefully at that point, we'll have volume 2 nearing close to finalized. The goal is to release at least 4 figures a quarter. And right now, this first release is only going to be 50 delimited edition pieces. So hopefully we'd like to grow that to maybe 100 and really start to kind of build out in that multimedia piece where we have almost a limited edition figure run from the comic books of some characters and stuff. And continuing on this mission of eventually one day having some sort of Netflix film series based off the comic book, based off these characters, and really, really pushing it in that regard.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. That's a huge vision. I know that you're perfectly capable of executing it, bringing it to reality. I've seen you work in the past. I've seen your dedication, both in your personal life and what you bring to the table and the business world and all of the things that you have endured just to get the role that you wanted to do in the military itself so that you can serve others. That's another character trait of yours that I've always valued, super respect, is that you're out there serving. Hey, yes, it was a challenge just to get there, to earn that, even just entry into the military, but you did it because you had a heart to serve. You wanted to help others. You wanted to give back to the nation, whatever that individual desire is, but it came from that heart of service. And I have a lot of respect for you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words, Brent.
Yeah, I know you're going to crush it. I'm excited to see it as it develops. And as we wrap up, I'll give you the last word. Let our listeners know where they can find you, where they can check out this comic, and any last pieces of advice or anything you want to share with the listeners would be great.
So you can find us on Instagram. We do have a YouTube channel as well. So Instagram, YouTube, TikTok as well. We're cosmic_absolute. Again, we are working on publishing the next comic book on our website, cosmicabsolute.com. We have a bunch of gymwear, as well as the 256-page graphic novel is 100% free digital download. So you will get it emailed to you and it loads up in your books app. Again, is 100% free. And really, that's kind of the goal is keeping it free for everybody just to give some people some entertainment. I think the biggest piece of advice that I could give anyone or any of your listeners, hopefully, is that you just don't give up. Like, just keep pushing through, even in the hard times and in the good times. And your dreams are valid as anybody else's. And if it wasn't for the people to believe that, like Steve Jobs or any other, look at George Lucas, for instance, look at Jim Cameron, anybody else who's done great things, they believed in themselves and their goals just as much. And just because it might seem outrageous to others doesn't mean that it's impossible. You just got to work at it and keep your heart there. That's the biggest piece of advice that I have. And Brent, to you, thank you. It's been an honor to be on your podcast. It was really great. And I appreciate the time you put into the questions and topics that we had. It was very in-depth and relationable to kind of what I'm doing right now. So I appreciate it. It's an honor and it's awesome to be on the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. I can't wait for us to reconnect and we'll do this again. This was great.
Thank you. Thanks, Brent.
Thank you for joining us today on this curious roller coaster of life. If this is your stop, please exit peacefully. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you're ready for another one, just push play. Just a final note before you go, thank you, and thank you for feeling. The distillation and aging process is different for everyone. I'm not quite sure what you're ready for. Sip slowly and enjoy responsibly.
Baby says she's leaving if I don't stop drinking wine. So I switched to whiskey, now I'm feeling fine. Drinking that smooth whiskey. No more wine. I like straight bourbon. Baby, you try the ride.